Hey guys, faxinadu here from Motion Swift Synthesis, and we are with Aeolian meditation, and would like to take a look in this video just a little bit about kind of the concepts, how to synthesize with this device, how to approach it, and how to get make your own presets and your own sounds with this device. If you look at the overview videos, over there we talk about each and every one of the functions and what each button does. Here, let's just try to make a few sounds and maybe look at some of the presets and see how they were made. So the first thing to notice, of course, obviously, is it's very different from synths that you know, right? It's different from subtractive. It's different from FM synths even. It's even different from your usual additive sort of synths, that they do have these harmonics over here. But we have all these modulations going on dedicated to each harmonic, and then we have the noise mixer. So it's a little bit different. So this synth actually, comes in order to do something very specific, which is like soundscapes and drones and ambient and all sorts of dramatic tones and effects and stuff like that. So obviously you won't be thinking the same way you're thinking when dealing with something like a subtractive synth. You're not picking out your like saw or square oscillator and filtering it and just doing all these things that you're used to, all this normal chain that you're used to. So that brings up a really important point for me here. Even myself as a designer of this synth, even I don't think in terms of like knowing what I'm doing exactly, right? This is a playground. It's a sandbox. It's meant to have fun. It's meant for experimenting. This is pretty much really a big part of the allure for this device, is that just play with it, guys. Just have fun with it, because this is the way to get sounds out of this thing. Obviously, a lot of the sounds, if you automate and yada yada yada. But in this video, let's look at some of the presets that we have over here. Let's see how they were made and maybe like make something, some of our own presets. So I'm going to be talking just on the drone side in this video. The other stuff is, once you kind of wrap your head around this, it's kind of pretty natural. I mean, all you have to do is just, instead of being in drone mode, just be in, instead of being in this mode, just turn on the envelope and just go to MIDI mode, and it becomes a normal synth. So the interesting thing to kind of talk about and see how it's made is the drone side of things. So first of all, you have your 12 harmonics. So the most basic idea here of just making a drone, and why we actually even have a standalone mode, as you can see I'm in the standalone version right now and not in the VSTI, is because the idea is to make soundscapes, drones. So I'm going to take the synth out of MIDI mode entirely. I'm going to go pick a note. Let's say whatever, F sharp 1. And I'm going to be turning off the envelope. And when the envelope is turned off, obviously drone mode is turned on. And it won't make any sound now because everything is closed. But the minute we start adding harmonics, then we will start getting tones. So the first thing I want to look at is over here, just placing the first tone. Once we're placing the first tone, it's really not interesting. Nothing is happening with it. The whole idea here is that when you start stacking up the tones, and again, let's think in brighter and darker, right? So the more we add harmonics that are higher harmonics, then the sound will be brighter and brighter and brighter as we add them. And notice that over here I already have modulations going on each and every one of these harmonics. So I will be adding them, but they're dynamically all changing with different speeds. And this is already half the point of this device. If you don't need to put it like raging loud all the way up and kind of be annoying. You can put it really softly. And already this way you have already a lot going on. It's already moving. You can definitely meditate with something like this. So again, it's really easy. You see, all I did was kind of pretty much randomly, decide that this sounds nice, and have it going. But let's say you're working on a specific track, so all you have to really do is take the bass note for your track, even if it's, let's say, techno music. So you'd usually have a bass line running on like 1, 2, or 3 notes or something like that. So if your track's bass line is on G, all you have to do, for example, is to place the note mode on G. You can obviously be in MIDI mode and just play, just turn on the envelope and play G. But just for this example, let's continue. Let's be in drone mode. So we have G1 playing, and this could be setting just the basic harmony for your track. And now, so it's interesting already like this. In my opinion, it's actually nice already like this. But what happens if we, to this thing, add some FM? Now, really, again, it's a playground. There's no real science to this thing. It's just how bright do you want it, how dark do you want it. Do you want the FM to be lower than the basic pitch? And then it will start kind of being really, really bubbly, for example. Or alternatively, you can set it to like a really high frequency, and then you'll kind of get sort of these little buzzing tones, even a little bit of aliasing. But it doesn't matter here, because you're not trying to synthesize an instrument or anything. Even stuff like aliasing can actually improve your sound here, because you're making a drone, and all you really want here is the movement, okay? The movement and the tone. So, for example, and again, this just adds another layer of modulation to this thing, another layer of change. The whole point of making interesting drones is that they evolve and they change over time. Now, it's really up to you, changing fast, changing slow, what kind of drone, what kind of tone. For example, something like this. You could decide that you need this, I don't know, for some sort of like machinery sound or alien sound. But alternatively, you can use this exact same sound, just filter it a lot, and you pretty much got, like, I don't know, Star Trek Enterprise, warp core hum. And again, even if you're closing the filter, there's still movement. All these harmonics and all the FM, it's still doing stuff. Sound is still dynamic and still affected. So again, what did I do? I was not thinking, how does this sound in nature? I'm not even going there. I'm thinking, okay, I want it dark. I have a filter. I'm going to use the filter. Think of the tools that you have over here and how you can use them to sculpt your sound. Let's take off the filter again. So we're going back to our harmonics with FM sound over here. Now you notice over here we have the FM modulation, which is modulation on the FM depth and on the FM frequency itself. Now again, remember what we're doing is we're always looking to add dynamic movement to the sound. So what if we take the sound that we had, have it playing, have the FM playing, and then modulate both the depth and both the source of the FM. Let's hear. Taking the FM just to the middle so that it'll have more room to sway once we're turning on the modulations. Now you could say that what I did here actually, in a way, maybe made the sound a little bit more boring, because it becomes a little bit predictable, because even though it's modulating more, the modulation kind of, it's kind of repeating itself a little bit. But what happens if we take all that is going on right now with these modulations and add some of the built-in effects on it? For example, the delay, which will then start being And what if we slow down the modulation just a little bit? It's already really, really nice. I actually really enjoy listening to this as I'm doing this. What if we add now more effects? Now all these effects obviously are very logical for this stuff, delay, chorus, reverb. It's all the stuff that kind of will modulate it, make it more intricate, and give it some stereo, and give it some more size and some more depth. So I've added the chorus. Let's add the reverb as well. And just playing around. So we've added delay, chorus, and reverb. I want to show something interesting. We have a reducer here, basically a bit crusher, a sample rate reducer. And obviously it's an interesting and a known effect and yada yada yada. It's nothing new, right? But here it is particularly interesting because we're in additive synthesis, even though we have the FM over here, which kind of takes us away. I mean, all of these are sine wave partials, right? So they're just like clean tones, uninteresting in quotes, right? But when the reducer interacts with it, it gives it a little bit of that buzz, So if you want some of that buzz on your sound, it's the perfect effect for adding. Let's listen. Now again, as usual, you can also modulate the reduction itself. And this adds another layer of movement. And again, let's go back to our little Star Trek warp core example. If I turn on the filter on all of this, I can invert the stereo of the filter. And this inversion, this means that the left and the right side will be inverted based on the modulation and the rate of modulation. So let's add some modulation as well. Maybe some resonance, I don't know. And now the stereo is just really, really, really nice. Listen how dynamic and evolving the tone is, You could probably, if you play it low, you can listen to it for I don't know, for hours. So already in this little preset that we're making over here, so we've utilized the harmonic section. We've utilized the FM, everything that the harmonic section has to offer us, right? And we've also utilized all the effects that are available to us. But we haven't touched the noise section yet. So let's set all this aside. I'm going to turn off the effects for a second. We're keeping everything. I'm not changing the parameters. I'm keeping all the harmonic section, but before we add it back in again, let's prepare something on the noise side of things for our drone. So the noise, basically, as you can see, you're starting with all these colors. You're starting basically with either white or pink noise. The white or pink noise. Let's be in white noise, for example. So the white noise goes separately to 4 bandpass filters, which end up as your 4 noise colors. So how do you make something interesting out of that? So actually, as you can see, as it's set up over here, it's actually a pretty cool starting point, because as you can see, all these noises, I mean, you can do anything you want, right? But just for the idea, all these noise channels, the 4 of them, as you can see, they're similarly placed. You know, they're not like all over the place, but just a little tiny bit different. Let's start by I don't know if there's modulations. If there are, let's remove them for a minute. Yeah, there's some modulations, and I don't want volume modulations either, so I'm going to be taking off the depth of volume modulation. Okay, now there's no modulations whatsoever, so we can go back to let's view the filter page, and let's just add some noise. So I'm taking the mixer up, and let's start with the first guy. So very dry, no movement at all at this point. Okay. And let's start adding the other guys, and let's start sculpting them a little bit. So now already this is something interesting about noise, you know, because already even if there's no modulations, once you're mixing 4 bandpass noises, your ear kind of tricks you a little bit, you know. It kind of feels a little tiny bit modulated, you know, because there's 4 different streams, you know, of very similar noise going on. But still, you know, it's still a little bit boring. I'm going to be just, you know, follow along with what I'm doing with the mouse. I'm going to kind of increase the volume and play around. I'm going to add resonance, and then I'm going to add a little bit of modulations to the noise. So now, personally, just my personal thing with this device is that I like things that I like it when it's really, really going slow. But of course, you can do anything you want. You know, you can set it to the higher speeds, the ranges for the rate knobs, or you can even go into sync mode and then sync your BPM. You can go really fast, whatever you want to do. But for the example, let's go with what I like doing with this thing. So I set the rates pretty slow, and the idea is that each and every one of it, they are similar, but a little tiny bit different. So let's get some modulation in there. And now it's already pretty nice. You can hear that the filters are moving around. Let's move them in volume as well. So okay, so let's stop for a minute. On the harmonics, we have volume modulation, right, on each one of them. On the filter, you have both filter modulation, which is the cutoff modulation, and the volume modulation. So we modulated a little bit the cutoff. Let's modulate the volumes too. Maybe too much. I'm kind of going random here, as you see. I mean, I'm just placing it kind of just so it'll be nice, you know. But again, there's no real genius here, you know. Do you want it to go fast? Do you want it to go slow? You know, it's more of a feel. Add one of them, you know. If it feels like it's moving too fast, you know, just slow it down. If you want something a little bit more energetic and a little bit more flowing, then make it faster. Maybe you want to make all of them slow and one of them faster. It's a playground, guys. Why am I emphasizing this? Because a lot of people are asking me, so how do I synthesize with this thing? They want some help understanding how to do it. But my whole point is, you know, don't go there. You know, just have fun. you will naturally come to a conclusion. Okay, I want this faster, I want this slower, I want this louder, I want this darker, I want the noise is too bright, the noise is too annoying, I don't know, whatever. Okay, so enough talk. So again, maybe this is not like the best noise example I ever made, but it does work here. And once we start adding back, let's add back our effects. So we had some delay. Let's keep it the same because we're going to add our harmonics in a minute. And notice the stereo inversion. Now you could just use this. You could just use the noise side. In fact, some of my favorite presets, I'll let you hear in a minute. This guy, At the Beach, uses just the noise, and there's some other ones over here. There's this one, Storm at Sea, which uses both the noise and the harmonics. Let's listen to him in a bit, but just to emphasize that it's perfectly cool to just use the noise section or just use the harmonic section, But they're really nice when they're mixed together. Let's hear it. And obviously, like any other synth, but especially here, it starts to get really interesting when you modulate it, okay? I'll post also in the comments for this video one of the live sessions that we did with this device, and you can see that just automating it here especially, because you can really change the whole tone of the device. But yeah, this is actually a nice drone. So for me, for example, here, the noise maybe is moving a little bit fast. So like I said, I just feel like it's going too huge. It's too much. Let's just slow it down even more. There we go. This is kind of like, this is the stuff that I like doing with it. So basically we have an alien planet. We can bring back the reducer, for example. So this is basically it, play with it. There's all there is to it. You can't really go wrong, if something is annoying you, then you can just turn it off. Now let's look at some of the other presets and just quickly how they are built. So I mentioned before this guy, At the Beach, it's a really simple one, but for some reason it's one of my favorites. Now it's one of my favorites just because it kind of naturally somehow sounds like waves at the beach. Now what do we have here? Basically, you see the harmonics aren't playing, some of the effects are on, but basically the basic synthesis, it's just these 4 noise colors, with just set up different cutoffs on each one, exactly like we did on the previous preset, a little tiny bit of resonance, and of course the modulation. This retrigger is kind of unnecessary here because we are in drone mode. Nothing is really retriggering anything. So and we have one of them sync to the BPM, which in this case is 144. It can be anything you want. And the volumes, you know, just moving around. You know, imagine each one of these is like waves, and the minute you kind of start layering them and add some delay to it, then you actually really get these waves at sea sound. Now let's hear them one by one for a minute. So this one is totally coming in and out, you know, all of them basically. When you start mixing them, and obviously nothing is stopping you, for example, from setting each and every one of these to a controller and, you know, playing them live. You know, I know you do have modulation on the volume, but you can kind of help the modulation. You know, you can also totally bring them out, bring them back in, have one of them playing, slowly add the second one, slowly add the third one, take out the fourth one, take out the second one, you know, add the first one, add the fourth one. That's the whole point here. Just playing around with this live is really neat. So at the beach, let's look at a similar one. So this is called Storm at Sea. I think I actually started with At the Beach. I made both of these presets are from mine. My partner made some other presets, but these are my guys. So I think I started with At the Beach and changed some of the noise parameters, added some harmonics with some FM and some grungy stuff, you know, to make it sound a little bit more like, you know, Storm at Sea. And again, you know, there's no big secret here. There's no big like synthesis genius or anything in how you're designing the sounds here. I knew I wanted some noise. I decided on how fast I want the movement. Over here I have some stuff going a little bit faster. You know, it's a storm after all. And the harmonic section is really nothing spectacular. You know, it's just adding the color. Modulation on the FM source that kind of is responsible for that falling down, and of course the effects, which provide a lot of the sound here. Something totally different. Let's look just a little bit also at non-droning sounds. So this, for example, is just really clear, crystal clear keys. All the noise is turned off. Actually, these are just on, but the main mixer is off. So basically, we can just, you know, turn everything off in the noise. We have some effects. I think the reducer is actually not needed here because you see it's off actually. So all we have from as far as effects is reverb. And we end up with a really clean, crystal clear crystal keys, just like the preset. As you notice, we have the first harmonic, the 6th harmonic, and the 11th harmonic playing. Let's take the 6th and the 11th off. We end up just with, and you know, it's just really up to you. What color, what tone do you want? Do you want it to sound like this? Do you want it to sound like this? Now some just for an example, some cool trick you can do here. For example, let's say let's take off these guys. What did the preset have? I don't know, 6 and 11 was it? I don't know, who cares? You can take one of them, for example, and modulate the rate. It's probably not fast enough. So you can have like tremolo going on with pretty fast, but like, for example, just on one of the harmonics. Pretty interesting stuff. What else? Let's take a look at maybe this guy. One of my favorites as well. Obviously, it's the first preset. It's using the noise. It's using the harmonics. Again, nothing magical. So again, it's based, the noise part of it is based just on the fact that the noise is being modulated. As you can see, even the first two aren't even modulated. Only the second two are modulated. At least the filter. Yeah, only the second two are actually modulated. The first two aren't even modulated at all. But you still get the sense of movement because the second two are modulated. And as you can see, all of the harmonics always we want to give some movement, you know. So even if it's it doesn't even matter, you know, fast, slow. That part is up to you. But the idea is to utilize it, you know, to give movement. As you can see, all of them are doing stuff now. If we go back to the original sound. And this preset will also sound nice as a drone, I think. Let's try it. So again, guys, I can't emphasize this enough. This is a playground. It's a sandbox. Just experiment. Don't be intimidated by the synth. Oh, what are these buttons? Oh my God, I don't know what any of this does. So you just try. Just move them around. I'm sure that you will have you'll get great sounds, and you'll get the sounds that you want just by playing with it. This is the whole point. This is the emphasis of the synth. Anyone can play it. This is the whole point why we have actually made the OSC, the Android app, just to play it live. You know, just fool around with the tones. You can start with a preset. All these meditation presets are great examples. You know, so just when you start to know the synth, then you already know, okay, something like this that has a little bit of a buzz, it's probably using some of the FM, it's probably using the reducer a little bit, and etc., etc. I hope this video kind of helped you out a little bit. I know that I haven't really given you like proper, you know, academic synthesis knowledge about additive synthesis or about sound design in this video. But again, I said it a million times, that's the whole point here. Just have fun. Just play around with it. Use your imagination. Use your creativity. Think speeds, you know. Think tones. Think what kind of atmosphere you want to set. Think kind of what kind of vibe. Think, I don't know, do you want it to float? Do you want it to scream? and just play around, and you will get amazing results. Just don't be afraid. That's it. So have fun. I hope you enjoyed watching this video a little bit. I hope it did give you some insight at least. So thank you guys. Grab the synth. If you grab it, you're just gonna fall in love with it, I'm sure. Have fun. See you later.